Well, this year is a presidential election year. So we went out and we talked to a lot of different viewers and voters on what they thought of this year's candidates and what the issues should be. I think you'll find the answers that we found out to be quite interesting. I'm here with Jim Weezer, and Mr. Weezer, what do you think of this year's presidential election?
Well, I think it's really fascinating. I think it's one of the, I'm sure it will be the closest election since the Kennedy-Nixon election in '60. But I think it'll be more, I think it'll be closer, more electoral college-wise than I think it will be popular vote-wise. And it's, I think it's really good for the, I think it's good. I think it's good for the country. I think people will vote. I think there'll be a higher voter turnout. And I ultimately think that Al Gore will prevail.
Is that because it's going to be a tight race?
You mean in terms of the voter turnout? Yeah, I think it's really gotten people's interest a lot more than in the past. And I think you can see that kind of towards the end. I think there's just a huge factor out there of people that are agonizing over which way they want to go in this. I think there's a lot of undecided voters, and they're agonizing which way to go. And I think it's going to make for a better turnout. I know that I've talked to the people up in voter registration. I know that we've had a large number of registrations late, new registrations, and I think that that's kind of sort of the prevalent mood throughout the country.
Now, in your opinion, what do you think the national priorities are?
Well, I always think the economy is the national priority. I mean, that's where I always start from, and that's why I believe that Al Gore's experience and what the administration's done will prevail. So I think that's important. I think that there are a lot of sub-issues that have become very important to people. I think Social Security is extremely important, the protection of Social Security. I think the issues concerning Medicare, Medicaid, prescription drugs are also very, very important issues to people. And I think those are kind of going to be the issues that kind of dominate.
Any chance of getting you to run for public office anytime in the future?
No, I like what I'm doing now. I loved being in public office when I was in it, but I'm very happy doing what I'm doing now.
It's good to see you again. Yeah, I'm with Ann, and Ann, where are you from?
Crown Point.
Ann, what do you think of this year's presidential election?
Well, I think it's going to be a very close election.
Okay. Are you an undecided voter?
No, I know who I'm going to vote for.
Okay. What do you think, in your opinion, should be the national priorities?
For me, Social Security.
I'm here with Troy Montgomery, and Troy, can you give me a little bit of your opinion on what you think of this year's presidential election?
Well, I know it'd be a downfall if we elect the other guy. We need to elect Al Gore, and that's the guy we should be pushing for. I'm originally from Tennessee, and his father was a senator in Tennessee when I was coming up, and I kind of liked him then. He's doing a great job now as vice president. He speaks about the issues. I'm a Lake County councilman, and George Bush is, where he speaks about the issues, he's not talking about the issues. He's evading the issues. He don't speak on the issues. Vice President Al Gore speak on the issues and give you a clear choice, and Bush don't.
Now, can you give me, in your opinion, what you think should be the national priorities?
Well, for example, I think one of them should be the economy, and that's the economy going great. The other thing got to be Social Security. Social Security has got to be, and Medicare, and medical for all the children.
I'm here with Shirley, and Shirley, where are you from?
Gary.
Okay, what do you think of this year's presidential election?
Well, it's a little different than most that I've seen. They show Bush leading in a lot of the polls, but I kind of get the feeling that Al Gore is going to win. People are going to come to their senses right before they go in and push the button.
Now, in your opinion, what do you think are the national priorities?
Right now, I think people are looking at health care. Social Security is a big issue for a lot of people, and education.
Okay. I'm here with Bob, and Bob, where are you from, Bob?
Cherville.
Okay, Bob's from Cherville. And Bob, what do you think of this year's presidential election?
Toss-up.
It's a toss-up.
That's right.
Has it drawn any of your interest?
Yeah, I've watched all of the debates, and so far, I guess I'm in the group with, I'm leaning towards, do you want to know how I'm going to vote?
Yeah, if you want to give it out, that's okay.
Yeah, well, right now, I'm leaning more towards Gore, but, hey, you know, things can change. We got one week left, and...
So you sound like you're an undecided voter.
Well, yeah, I am.
Okay.
I am, but I'm leaning a little bit towards Gore right now because I think 1/3 of what he says I agree with.
Okay.
And Bush, it's about 1/8 right now.
Now, in your opinion, Bob, what do you think are the national priorities?
Well, education, number one. You go to any school and talk to the teachers and to the principals, and you find out that it's a problem that's across the nation. We're not going to have a future if our kids don't get educated.
I'm here with Sean, and Sean, where are you from?
North Judson, Indiana.
Okay, Sean, what do you think of this year's presidential election?
There's a lot of good candidates, but I think they're all, they don't really have their head in the issues. The actual issues are everyday life, and people are working, and the rich keep getting richer, the poor keep getting poorer, and that's just the way it is. People have got to start understanding, hey, a long time ago when they started taxing without representation, that's what started this country. And when people start standing up for what their rights are, that's when this country is going to be a nation again, and we're all going to stand up and be happy instead of everybody walking around here blowing their brains out over crazy stuff, can't feed their families and stuff like that. And that's about all I got to say about the president.
Now, in your opinion, what do you think should be the national priorities?
National priorities should be to take care of our own people and stay out of other people's business. Okay. Wars and stuff are killing people, and people are killing us, and you got people going off to war and for no reason at all, and and there's people right here hungry and, starving, and people fighting and killing in the streets. And
Hey Nick, I'm out here at the old courthouse in Crown Point, and we're going to get some opinions on this year's election. Okay, and now I'm here with
Valerie Krutz.
Okay, Valerie, what is your opinion of the election so far this year?
Well, my opinion is that it's a highly controversial election, and I'm pulling for one side that I'm normally a Democrat, and now I'm going to probably vote Republican. So I think it's been a type of election where people will sway a little bit from their normal opinions.
So you think that Bush has addressed the issues better than Gore has?
I don't really think either of them have addressed the issues that well, but I think that maybe we could trust Bush a little bit more. I don't know.
Okay, and what do you think the primary concern is for the nation this election?
Well, it seems like the primary concern is the health care issues, and and education is a big concern, and I think that's my primary concern is the educational issues. So I don't think the education in this country is that great, and I think somebody needs to get a grip on that.
And what is your opinion of the election so far this year?
I think it's going to be very close, and we voted for Governor Bush. I hope he wins. I think he's got a good vice president running with him. I think that's really the strength of the ticket. I like that very much.
Okay, great. What do you think the nation's priorities are this election?
I disagree with the priorities. I think they're putting too much emphasis on senior citizens, being as I am one, but they're neglecting, both parties are neglecting the younger people, the young families, and they're concentrating on this prescription drugs for old-timers and Social Security for old-timers. They're missing the bet. There are too many young people out there that are being left out.
Okay, and I'm here with
Darvine Polk.
Okay, Darvine, what do you think of the election this year?
I think it's going pretty good so far. Of course, I'm a Democrat, so voting for Gore.
So you're all for Gore?
Yes.
Okay. And what do you think the nation's priority is this election?
Healthcare, definitely. Being in the nursing field, I think that's very important that we get some good health care, especially dealing with those HMOs.
Now I'm here with
Jesse Boykin.
Jesse, what is your opinion of the candidates?
I don't really have an opinion on them. If I was going to have to choose one of the candidates, I would probably choose Al Gore.
Okay. And what do you think the nation's priority is this election?
I think the nation's priority is education. I think that everything starts with education, and without education, you would have nothing in the world.
And I'm here with
Marcia Rediger.
Marcia, what is your opinion of the presidential election this year?
Well, I think it's something we have to put up with and deal with, and I'll be glad when it's over, unfortunately.
Do you have any opinions of the candidates?
I'm a Bush fan. That's all I can say.
Okay. You're a Bush fan? Okay, what do you think the nation's priority is this election?
Oh, geez, I don't know. I really don't have an opinion.
Education or health?
I think there's a lot of talk about health care and a lot of talk about education. I think they're just all bannering each other back and forth, so. we'll just have to see best man wins.
Okay, I'm standing here with
Tim Jessup.
Okay, Tim, what is your opinion of the election so far this year?
I haven't seen a whole lot of people really pay a whole lot of attention to the election. Haven't heard a whole lot of comments about it like I have in years past.
Okay, do you have any opinions of the candidates?
Well, because Clinton did a pretty good job for the economy, I think Gore would be a pretty good selection. Hopefully things wouldn't change too much with him taking over office.
Okay, and what do you think the nation's priority is this election?
Probably education, healthcare. It seems like the same things they keep going over.
Okay, great. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And now I'm here with
Carmen Pappas.
Okay, Carmen, what do you think of the election so far this year?
I think that both candidates and everyone who's running for office is working very hard, and I do feel that of all the elections, this is a very important election that's going to affect our country very seriously.
Okay, and do you have any opinions of the candidates this year?
I think they're both striving for both things. Everybody, either you're Republican or Democrat, you're entitled to vote for whoever you want to.
Okay, what do you think the nation's priority is this election?
Of course, a lot of things for senior citizens, the Medicare, the Social Security, all the things that are going out in the Middle East. I think it's going to have a lot of effect also on surrounding countries and the United States.
I'm here at Purdue Cal and speaking to some of the students about the presidential election, and I'm with Janelle. And Janelle, where are you from?
I'm from Crown Point.
Okay, Janelle, can you tell me what's your opinion of this year's presidential election?
I'm actually pretty excited about it. It seems to be a pretty close race, but I'm all about George Bush, so.
It's a tight race, basically. Do you like the way that they're campaigning this year? Or?
I don't know. It's basically the same. I think every presidential election, you always have the mudslinging or whatever, but it's all about issues basically, and I don't really think that Al Gore is covering a lot of ground. He just keeps repeating himself, and he's just
Not there for you, then.
right. Yeah, I'm
Now,
not feeling it on Al Gore.
did you watch any of the presidential debates?
Yes, actually, I watched all of them, and the vice presidential ones too.
That's pretty good because a lot of people didn't take time to watch the vice presidential debates.
That's my future.
Now, in your opinion, what do you think the national priorities should be?
I think we really need to be more concerned about where our troops are as opposed to sending them out all over the country. We need to worry about our issues, our people who are homeless, our people who are starving, and I think that's the major issue.
I'm here with Matt, and Matt's from Hebron. And Matt, what do you think of this year's presidential election?
I haven't been keeping up with it too much, but from what I understand, I think Bush is probably going to win. It's not necessarily that I want Bush or Gore to win. If I had my choice, I would rather maybe go for Nader or somebody who I don't think is going to win.
Like a third party?
Yeah, like a third party.
Both parties don't interest you anymore?
No, neither one really interests me that much.
Now, if you had, in your opinion, what do you think the national priorities should be?
Education should probably be number one. As we're Purdue students, we're most interested in education. Raising the high school standards so they're more prepared for college.
I'm here with Jen. And Jen, where are you from?
I'm from Dyer, Indiana.
Okay, Jen, what do you think of this year's presidential election?
I think it's good. I'm a political science major, so I'm excited about it.
So being a tight race, you think that's more of a challenge for the voters for this year's presidential election then?
Yeah, I think it is. I think it's more of a challenge just because they don't have Clinton, who is in the office now. They don't have someone who's in office to just vote for. I mean, they have two new people they have to go for.
Now, in your opinion, what do you think the national priorities should be?
I'm big on education, and I'm big on national defense. Those are the big things that I'm interested in.
Now, what would you like to do with that poli-sci degree once you're done with school?
Oh, I want to be an advisor to the president.
Well, there you go. And what kind of advice would you give Al Gore or George Bush or Ralph Nader or any of the other candidates?
Well, I would just give Bush and Gore the advice to keep going strong in these last few days. I would tell Nader, good job that he's been doing, but he knows he isn't going to win.
I'm here with Pete. And Pete, where are you from?
St. John, Indiana.
Okay, Pete, and what do you think of this year's presidential election?
Well, I'm voting for Ralph Nader.
Okay, third party then?
Yes.
Is there any reason why you're voting third party?
Because I just don't believe in these two billionaires.
I got you.
Same thing, and here you go.
Oh, and I got something right here. Bush, Gore, because inequality isn't growing fast enough. Okay, now in your in your opinion, what do you think the national priorities should be?
There's many that they're just not not anything these two guys are gonna say. Nothing's gonna happen. So, and basically our vote is just to make good television. So it really means anything, but I don't know.
So you don't think your vote matters?
No, not really. But I think it's good to do it because one day maybe our point will get across.
I'm with Lori, and Lori, where are you from?
Highland.
Now, Lori, what do you think of this year's presidential election?
I don't think a lot of people are hearing what they're really standing for. A lot of people I know aren't going to vote because they're not sure which candidate stands for what.
It's kind of like okay, so it's not a toss-up. It's what exactly are the issues and how they stand on these issues.
Yeah, basically.
Now, what do you think this year's the national priorities should be?
I don't know. There's quite a few. Education is one. I'm a teaching major. Social Security, the prescription plan for the senior citizens. Okay. Yeah, those are some. And crime. I think that's one of them.
Do you think any of the candidates that are running right now, Gore, Bush, or some of the others, do you think they're going to actually make a difference?
I'm voting for Gore, so I don't. I think I think the major another one is the women's issues with the new abortion pill and all that, where they stand on all of that. Yeah, but I'm not so sure. You got to see. I'm happy with the past 8 years, so maybe that's why, I'm voting.
I'm here with Eric, and Eric, where are you from?
Crown Point.
Now, Eric, what is your opinion of this year's presidential election?
I don't think it's really concerning any of our generation, so I haven't really been keeping up with it. They go with the older generations and whatnot, and I don't think they even look at any aspects that are concerning us. That's why our voting population going out is so low, because they don't concern any of the needs that our generation is looking at.
And that would be Generation Xers?
Yes, that's correct.
Now, in your opinion, what do you think the national priorities should be?
Social Security, definitely, because that's going to be something in the future that we're going to have to look at, especially for our generation. I think they need to address, for our population or our generation, more with college, with loans, government loans and whatnot, but none of them are doing it, which I understand because they go for the population, but that's why our voting outtake is so low.
I'm here with Gracie, and Gracie, where are you from?
East Chicago.
Gracie, what do you think of this year's presidential election?
Well, I don't keep up with it, but I don't think they can do nothing but they're just going to be a president. They ain't going to do nothing for us whatsoever. I think they're lying. They both just want to be on TV, look good. That's how they can do nothing for us.
In your opinion, Gracie, what do you think the national priorities should be?
National priorities should be like the poor people, the children, get the children first education instead of getting other stuff. It should be about getting poor people what they need. The lower people, get them high to where we are now.
You don't think any of the past presidents have done any of that?
Well, I'm not sure, but it hasn't affected me, so I guess you could say I'm just being selfish about it,
I'm here with Joel, who's a Purdue Cal student. And Joel, what do you think of this year's presidential election?
Pretty much I think both candidates are pretty much the same. Regardless who you vote for, it's pretty much not going to make much of a difference, considering both candidates stand the same on both policies, international as well as domestic policy.
Now, Joel, what do you think, in your opinion, should be the national priority?
National priority should be pretty much eliminating the inequality and the gap between the poor and the rich that we have currently in the United States. With considering the amount of homeless people that we have in this nation, that should be our top priority, considering our nation of such wealth as the United States, being the world leader in wealth and other institutions.
I'm here with Ralph. And Ralph, exactly where are you from?
I'm from Millville, Indiana.
Okay, Ralph, what do you think of this year's presidential election?
I think it's getting a little out of hand with everybody and running around talking about who they should vote for. I feel like the candidates should get the votes because, they're doing their job. I don't really pay attention to it that much, but when I do watch it on television, both candidates have valid points. So when I vote, I'll probably just vote for whoever I think will do best.
Sounds like you're an undecided voter right now.
Yeah, right now. Yeah, I don't even know who to vote for. Sometimes I want to vote for Bush, and then other times I want to vote for Gore, but I'm clueless.
So it sounds like it's going to be the last second you're going to make your decision.
Yeah.
A lot of voters have been like that so far that we've spoken to. Now, let me ask you, in your opinion, what do you think the national priorities should be?
Getting rid of poverty. Yeah, I think that should be the national priority because we got too many poor people around here.
Domestically or internationally?
All over the world. It's especially here because it's no reason why anybody should be poor here because people have families and a person could be poor on the street and his or her family won't even help them. So, and then, work on everything nationally because those countries have their own ordeals and stuff like that. But, we got to work with ourselves first before we start going and getting in everybody else's affairs. So.